So we are live. What's up, guys? How you doing out there? I know you haven't really heard a lot from me. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my comments too. So if you guys have any comments, first of all, let me start off with this. If you guys do have any comments, please feel free. Comment away. I'm right here. I can watch all of them from everywhere that I'm broadcasting right now. So please feel free if you guys like to. You can always private message me on Facebook, which is at Bulky Studios. But you can always get a hold of me in some way, shape, or form. So this episode is more about of the scoop. This one is actually more about conventions and going back to them. Now, a lot of you may or may not know that before I actually had my animation studio, I was working as a comic book colorist for many, many years. And I taught myself how to do coloring. When I first got into comics, I should say when I wanted to get into comics, they didn't have the schools that they have nowadays, meaning they didn't have a lot of classes, they didn't have specific schools. I think the only school that was around at the time, if I'm not mistaken, might have been the Joe Kubert. I think I'm saying that name right. The Joe Kubert Comic Art School. I mean, I think that was it. I really think that was it. There might have been some classes here and there and some sporadic schools, but nowadays, oh my God, like comic phenomena is like everywhere. Everybody wants to do a graphic novel or a comic book, which I think is fantastic. Everyone has to, there are a lot of great ideas out there. I can't say everybody has a great idea, but they have an idea. But I think everybody should have the opportunity to do what they want to do. And if comic books is the thing, God, then just do it. But we're not talking about that as of right now. We will get into that maybe at another episode, which I'll talk about kind of going back to who is Jeff Bulky, kind of like where I came from. So, but for right now, what I want to talk to you guys about is when I was doing conventions. Thank you, Evan. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Willow, what's going on? I appreciate that, Evan. I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, but what I want to talk to you guys about right now is conventions. So as we all know, the past year and a half has really, really, really hurt a lot of people, and not just physically or mentally, but really financially. There's a lot of people, including myself. We'd go out on the road, and that's how we would really make the majority of our money. For the most part. Now, at some point, just a few years ago, actually, and I think I've said this before, is I woke up at a convention, literally woke up, waking up going to MegaCon. Okay, and that was like the perfect place to really kind of wake up and go, this is what I want to do. But I woke up and I said, I want to start my animation studio. Awesome, right? It is. For me, it really is. This is something I've wanted to do my entire life. I started putting it out there a couple of years later, once I started kind of getting on the roll, kind of getting things put together. And unfortunately, I've had a few people just two people in particular, when I went to conventions and I said, hey guys, I'm starting my own studio animation. I got my own characters. I've got this. Everybody pretty much seemed really excited and, really like, yeah, go Jeff. Except for probably two people. It was like these two read out of the same book. They read the same little notes, like the highlighted notes. It's like they knew each other because they almost like verbatim said the same exact thing. And that was, if you do your own thing, I am not going to follow you. I am not going to be there to support you because what you do is great. You need to just keep it up. You need to only do that and call it a day. A little part of me was like, wow, thank you. That's awesome. But then the bigger part of me, about 99.98% of me, is saying to you, because I want to start and do my own thing. I want to have my own voice. I want to have my own characters. I want to have my own stories, my own worlds, if you will. And these guys are just kind of poo-pooing on the whole thing. All right, fine. I get it. Change for a lot of people is not in everybody's, forte, curriculum, whatever you want to call it. I get it. But these guys have been following me in the comic book world for years. I think it was about 5 years. One was 3, maybe 5 years. The other one definitely was 5 or more. Now, before I did any of this animation stuff, I think I mentioned this before too. I worked for Zenescope, so as a colorist, so if you guys know the company Zenescope, they're not the la-di-da type stuff. This is all like la-di-da with TNA poking out. So this was definitely adult oriented, maybe like teenage and up. Actually, probably more for like 20 somethings and up, for the most part at the time. Now I can't say, but at the time, that's what it was. They would always have those kind of covers that were very risque, to say the least. Definitely has a lot of nude covers, which of course were the most famous covers I think the Zenescope had at the time too. I didn't work on any of those, but I worked on the interiors. There were a few covers that I did for Zenescope, but later on, I was with them for like 5 or 6 years. So probably on my third, maybe fourth year is actually when I started doing covers for them of just random books, which was really cool and really fun. But anyways, conventions. So at the conventions, people were like really excited. They were really happy about it. But going from one genre, which is really adult teen, not adult, but kind of adult TNA kind of stuff, to what I'm doing now, as you can see my little buddy down here, Stanley, totally different, totally different. But this little guy right here is the reason why I want to go into animation, is because these little guys, they've made me happy for a long time. They've been in my head. They've been, my own little worlds, my own creations for a very long time. So I wanted to start putting it out there for everybody else to enjoy too. We would travel across, and I say we, with Brandon and myself, my husband and myself, we would go out all across the country and we would drive. So to San Diego, Florida, of course, went to Florida an awful lot, New York, you name it. I mean, I think there's only 4, maybe, I think of 4 or 5 states we haven't been to, and yes, Alaska being one of them, and Hawaii, because you couldn't drive there. No, Martin, I did not draw that squirrel. That would be my cartoonist, Eric C. Martin. Relax, I don't do that. Calm down. He's trying to give me a hard time. My cartoonist is on right now, Eric C. Martin. I've been working, we'll go into all that a little bit later on. But anyways, conventions. But we would drive all over the place, and we had such a great time. And then I started switching everything over, going from comic book fan art I've never, if you draw any kind of a picture like a Spider-Man or anything that's Marvel, DC related, or anything that's not yours, it's basically fan art. It is fan art, and it could be argued that it's stolen. It's not stolen, but it's just, I don't want to put that out there for the whole world to, well, Jeff said this. No, it's not stolen, but it's copywritten material. So at any time, those companies can come and they can stop you right there on the spot. Doesn't matter who you are, they can just stop you right there on the spot. So that's why I wanted to also do, hey Angel, but that's why I wanted to create my own characters, because it gives me a little bit more to stand on. It just kind of gives me more voice. So that's why going to all these conventions, it was just so much easier. I shouldn't say easier, but it was just better for me to create my own little guys. And plus working on, like I said, all the TNA and the Spider-Mans and all that kind of stuff, it was kind of like, all right, I'm stagnant. It's like I can't really move up a lot, but now with my guys, I'm going to try to move up and keep on going. But a lot of people didn't see it that way. So with the conventions, a few years ago, the convention started declining for us because people were kind of upset that I had my own stuff. So every so often I'd kind of put in there, like a Spider-Man with Stanley, this little guy right here. Yeah, this little guy. I'd put in like Stanley with Spider-Man, or I'd put my characters in their costumes, as cosplay. And I still do that from time to time. I really did. Actually, I just did it with Loki, if you guys saw that, the variant. Louis Gator, which he's one of my first characters I created in my whole swoon of characters. All I did, because he's a gator, I put the Loki costume, on him. Yes, I went there with it. But it came out really cool. I was just kind of playing around and it just worked out real well. But anyway, so I would kind of just to kind of keep, some of the comic fans coming in, and I would do everything I can to just try to keep everyone coming back. Well, not everybody wanted to, because I switched everything over. Well, now the pandemic was kind of a good thing when it came to conventions for me, meaning that now all that superhero stuff is gone, all of it. I don't have 1 ounce of superhero stuff besides my own characters. I guess you can argue I have a character. His name is Hambit. I only have I've had this print for I don't even know how long, but it's one of my 3 little pigs that actually dressed up as Gambit, so I call him Hambit. So I have that piece. And I've got a couple of other smaller pieces here and there that are some of the characters are dressed up as some of their favorite characters in comic books. I do have that here and there, but I've got very limited quantities of them, and I'm just getting rid of them. In all honesty, and now with the shows, now I'm looking at things completely different. Before I can be an Artist Alley and it was completely fine. Now I kind of can't, only because I have more than just fan art. Artist Alley is basically for fan artists. People who draw Spider-Man and for fun, and the regular artists who sit there who actually physically draw on the books. These guys, but it really is for fan artists, the big print wall guys and all that stuff. That's what it's mainly for. So that those artists can be noticed, and that's a good thing, because that can lead to a lot of different jobs if that person decides to go on with the art and go into some comics or graphic design or whatever. I know a lot of people that started off in Artist Alley that are now working, for one of the big 2. Or they are actually working in graphic design, and that's fantastic. That's awesome. But you can only have art in Artist Alley, so you can only have prints. You can have a little bit of here and there of some other stuff, but a lot of the conventions, I don't know how they're going to be now, but a lot of the conventions before the pandemic, they were all saying, well, you can't have T-shirts, you can't have pins, you can't have buttons. It's going to be art, and you have to do the art. That's what it was. I don't think that's really going to change necessarily, but they may open it up a little bit, like, okay, you can have some T-shirts, you can have some pins and some buttons. I don't know if they're going to do that, but that's why I'm looking into booths. I have to have a booth. If it's not going to be like, go to New York or going to San Diego, one of those big, huge, wow, one of those big booths, working on it. I have some ideas. I've been kind of like laying out and trying to get going for that. But if it's not going to be one of those, it's going to be what's called small press. So all of the small press guys, what that is, it's exactly what it sounds like. These are all people who have at least 90% of their setup is all of their own creation. Comic books, novels, books of any kind, artwork, any of the T-shirts, pins, buttons, plushies, whatever they created, they can go into that location. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm kind of like in between. I can't do Artist Alley anymore because, well, some of you may have seen or may remember. Hey, Garrett, what's up? Some of you may remember my setups. Granted, it was all prints, it was all fan art, but I had 3-4 tables depending on the show, kind of my own little island, and it was gargantuan. It was huge. I mean, just huge. I don't have that now necessarily. I have like 3 tables now and a nice big wall behind, like an 8-foot wall behind me, that I kind of put up some stuff, which I can show you guys some pictures. Actually, I think I showed you a picture a few posts below this one if you're on Facebook. But anyways, I would have like a huge setup at these shows, and now I'm back down to just like 1, maybe 2 tables, except for one day show I have 3, and it just works out perfectly that way. The size is just amazing, just great. Anyway, so with me going back to conventions, I'm kind of like bouncing all over the place here because I got so many things that I want to talk to you guys about, and this is a very big thing for me, conventions, because this is how for many years I really made the majority of my money, if not all of my money. There were times, even when I was going to conventions, when I was working at Cinescope, they literally called me up when we're on our way to a show, and they said, Jeff, we need you on this book. We need to get it done this weekend. And I'm like, well, guys, I told you I'm going to a convention. I forget which one it was, but I remember we were in Chicago driving through it, and I said, all right, well, then I'll turn around and I'll do the book. And I did the book because the books to me were more important. Having stuff at the show was more important than me just being at the show, if that makes any sense. So I wanted to physically have stuff there for you guys to buy, and get signed. If you had it yourself and you brought it to the show and I signed it, heck yeah, I love that stuff. I love that stuff. I still do that now. If you have anything, if you guys have anything of mine that I've ever created, comic book prints, whatever it might be, please feel free to bring it to the show, wherever I'm going to be, and I'm more than happy to sign it. And there was one guy who challenged me to that. It was a couple of years ago. It was at a smaller show, a one-day show. It was a one-day show. That was kind of the fun part. I said, bring up whatever you want. I don't charge for signatures. I am not going to charge for signatures. Even when you buy something from me, I'm not going to charge you. Even if you bring something up to me and you didn't buy it from me, I'm not going to charge. I'm not going to do that stuff. I don't believe in that. It's an honor you guys brought anything up to me. I think it's great that you guys did. Some people went through boxes and they pulled out, and that's what this guy did. He brought a whole big long box of comics, all ones, different variant covers, and all ones that I did. Wow. This was a one-day show, so I think it was about 5 hours, maybe 6 hours long. I said, you know what, come back by the end of the day, and I'll have them all signed for you. And he came back, periodically, of course, but it was amazing that he found all these books. And he even said he went to the 50-cent bins and the dollar bins, and he was just pulling everything just because he liked it. He liked the hunt. And I'm the same way. I go to the 50-cent quarter bins sometimes, dollar bins. I go to those a lot, and I look because you can find some great stuff that sometimes people just missed. And that's really cool. But he brought me this entire box, and it was amazing just sitting there. And I would take stacks at a time, sit down as I'm coloring at the same time, and I would still sit there and I would sign, because signing didn't take a lot of time. I mean, the box, it did. It took me pretty much the entire day to sign that box, but it was just so incredibly cool. So I had such a great time at conventions. I really did. I absolutely love conventions. This year, I am going back to some conventions. I just updated jeffbalkestudios.com under the events section. I have 3 more shows coming up all next month, and then I have one every month all the way through December. They're all smaller shows. One of them is more kind of like an event. It's called the Milwaukee Makers Market, and it's a lot of handcrafted, original kind of stuff, kind of like your small press kind of stuff. This is the stuff. This is the show or event that people from all over Milwaukee, I think for the most part, maybe some Illinois, because we're just right over the border basically. They handcrafted, they made their own stuff, and it's really cool to walk around and check all this stuff out, because you can see all these things that people have purchased, and it's fantastic. We actually sold out of our comic book at the first one that we did just a couple of weeks ago. We sold out of Stanley's Ghost, woohoo, which was great. So I'm kind of hoping we can do it again. That would be wonderful. And I do have some more Stanley's Ghosts here. And if you guys didn't hear about that, Stanley's Ghost is also Eisner nominated. Woo, yay! It's actually very exciting. And this Friday, tomorrow we'll find out if we take the whole Eisner, the whole cake home. If we don't, you know what? It was such an honor to be nominated, and we're going to try again next year, hopefully. But it has been such a great experience, actually having my own studio with my own characters and stories, because again, this is our first comic book as a studio, and we were nominated for an Eisner. Now, I didn't do it alone. I know I talked about this before, but I didn't do it alone. My buddies Sandy and Sean over at Storm King Productions, aka Storm Kids, they actually put the book on. So they produced it, they put it together, they distributed, they did all that stuff. So thank you to them for giving me this opportunity. And now we're working on the second book, which we just got the story pretty much locked down. So I can't wait for this one. This one's going to be really cool too. But thanks to them and also the team, Dave Alvarez, amazing artist on the book. He did the cover and the interior, just phenomenal artist and a great guy too. I mean, he's a hell of a guy. If you ever see him at a show, go up to him and say hi, get something from him. He's an awesome guy. Paul Story, he and I did the story of this particular story. He's kind of embellishing a little bit more on it, but he's also the writer of the book. He's done so much stuff. It's fantastic. He's done a lot of stuff with Batman and Harley Quinn. He did the Gotham Girls, I think it's called, the like 4 or 5 book miniseries back in the I think late 90s, maybe early 2000s. I can't. Paul, if you're watching, I'm so sorry. I'm horrible. I can't remember. Paul's worked on a lot of stuff. Also, of course, there's myself. But then there's Janice Chang. She's a letterer, and she is one of the first women in comic books. And she's been working for Marvel DC as a letterer for over 40 years. I think we're probably now over the 45-year mark. And she did everything by hand. She is just a master at lettering. That is a craft all by itself. So I put this team together. I absolutely love it. I'm glad that I did. And now we're all working on the second book featuring Stan Lee and friends. So yeah, anyways, kind of got off track there. But conventions, like I said, this year, with everything slowly opening up, I'm going to be starting to go back to conventions. I miss it. I really do. I miss meeting all the people. It's that is the greatest thing. That is the greatest part of conventions. Is really just getting out there and meeting all the people who, literally, bring up books and bring up stuff that you worked on. I got goosebumps just thinking of this. But just bringing up the books and the stuff that you've worked on, and then you sign it. These guys went out to the comic stores or wherever they got your stuff from, your art, wherever, and they did it. They did the legwork, and then they come to you, and then you sign it, and then they're happy and you're happy. It's an awesome feeling. It is such a cool thing. And then everybody who comes to the booth or the table and they buy something right there, you can't put a price tag on that. You really can't. I love meeting all my fans who now, a lot of them have actually moved over into friendships. And yes, exactly, Angel, exactly. But I love going out to conventions, going out to shows. We are, like I said, slowly, now that everything is starting to open up, kind of get back on where I was going. Now that things are slowly starting to open up a little bit. I am actually going to some conventions, and I know I'd mentioned it just a few minutes ago. I know I just mentioned that I've got a couple of smaller shows, and I'm going to more do locally because I'm going to meet Milwaukee. Out of all the shows that we've been to, this is the one area, the one city now, of course, where I live, where we really haven't gone out there and met Milwaukee. Yes, of course, we know about the bars, we know about the brewers and and everybody, but we know about all the regular Milwaukee stuff, but we want to meet the actual people. And this is one way for us to do it, is through the Milwaukee Makers Market, because these are all basically local people coming in and just checking everything out. And what's also cool about the Makers Market, by the way, let me just say this, it's free to get in. It doesn't matter your age. It is free to get in. How cool is that? How many shows or events or anything do you actually find where it's free to get in? Even craft shows, for the most part, all the ones that I've been to anyway, that I've gone into, you have to pay for that. Milwaukee Makers Market, you just walk in. It's just really cool. But anyways, so the Milwaukee Makers Market kind of has us doing that. We get to meet more of Milwaukee. Now, I do also have the Milwaukee MightyCon show, which we also did just about a month ago, beginning of the end of last month, I believe. So I've been doing that show for quite some time, and it's nice to meet different people. The Makers Market and the Comic-Con, or the comic show, totally different venues, of course, and totally different people. It's not just comic book people. These are people just from all over who just like art and the crafts and everything. It's really cool. So I've got those couple of shows, and I've got the Makers Market that I'm doing this year. Now I am also working on next year. I'm working on my schedule for bigger shows. I'm not going to go crazy like I did before. I can't anymore. Doing 40 shows a year for a few years straight it put a lot of strain on us, and we got burnt out pretty fast. So we're kind of calming down just a little bit, and we are going to do some bigger shows, but I'm going to be kind of picky for which ones I do, and I'm going to try to do one a month. I'm going to try. It just kind of depends on what's going on with, of course, COVID and just how everything is going. So, but at least I'll be here in Milwaukee, and I'll be doing some shows and some events here. Plus, I've got some other ideas that I'm working on too, to kind of get out there a little bit more into Milwaukee and basically the Milwaukee, Illinois, or I should say Wisconsin, Illinois states. So, all right, well, I don't know how much more. There's a lot more that I want to share with you guys, and I know I really got to start doing these more and more, at least one a day. I really need to. I am actually right now still in the process of creating some of the new original hand coloring pieces, so I can start coloring them live right here. I hope you guys will join me in the near future. I am going to be actually coloring up very soon, probably next week. I'm going to be coloring up the first. Oh my gosh, Louis Gator variant. So if you guys heard me say just a little bit in the beginning of this, maybe sometime in the middle, I don't remember when, but I actually created Louis Gator, one of my very own characters, my first wave of characters I created. I also made him into a variant of Loki. So yep, I went there. On Facebook and Instagram, go ahead and check out just a few posts below this video, and you can go check them out and see them. I have two different versions of that. I think I'm going to be making a regular digital colored print of him. Not sure yet. But the black and white version that you see with the mat around him, that is the one that I'm selling right now. There's only 10 of them available. I know I sold a couple already, so thank you guys. But the very first one, I said I'm going to color live. So Angel, congratulations. You're the one who's actually going to be, I'm going to be coloring yours first. Yay! So, but I will definitely get onto that next week, and we're going to do some more coloring with Jeff. I've got some other pieces. I'm trying to build up my my new portfolio, if you will, of original hand colorings featuring some of my little guys. So be on the lookout. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are here. You guys are checking this out. And for anybody who's watching this after the fact, also don't forget to go to jeffbalkestudios.com. I'm updating it basically right after this video. Check out the events page, and those are all the different events that I'm doing this year so far. I'm still adding a couple of more because, like I said, the Makers Market, I'm going from now all the way through December. So that's just one a month at the Makers Market now through December. So I got to add a few more. And possibly some other shows here and there this year, but we'll see. Next year, I am working on some shows on my show schedule for next year, so also be on the lookout for that. I will most likely be posting that later on in the fall once I have everything all organized and put together. So. All right, guys. Well, again, I just want to say thank you very much. And if you are looking for anything, any kind of artwork, or if you have any questions, actually, if you're looking for any kind of artwork like Artoons, go to balkestudiosart.com, and you can definitely just purchase any of the artwork that's there. Plus, you could probably see these cool little pins that I have sitting right here. Our first acrylic pins. So very exciting. They're only $8 a piece. That's all they are. We have 7 of them available. Yeah, go check them out. 7 different ones to go check out. So yay. All right, guys, again, thank you very much. I know I've said that 5 or 6 different times already, but I just want to say you guys rock. So thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at some conventions, and hopefully I'll be in your neck of the woods and we can physically see each other in real FaceTime. So thank you guys. You're awesome. Thank you so much.